Hello, welcome to another video on our channel. Here we translate accounts of individuals who have experienced near-death encounters. Today, we will delve into the story of a doctor, Juan José López Martínez. He shares his account of passing away after a stroke and witnessing the purpose of his life, which compelled him to choose to return. If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, do so now. Hit the notification bell to be alerted of each new video. Now, let's listen to Juan's testimony. On the 17th of July in the year 2017, I encountered an exceptionally striking and unusual situation. At that time, I was practicing as a medical doctor, a role that often placed me in the face of challenges and high-pressure situations. However, nothing could have prepared me for what was about to unfold on that specific day. My name is Juan José López Martínez, and I was fully engaged in my duties at a hospital, immersed in my daily tasks. That morning I was seated at my desk, surrounded by two computer screens that assisted me in my work. Suddenly, without any prior warning, an unexpected feeling overwhelmed me. My left arm completely lost its strength and detached from the desk, hanging lifelessly by my side. Shortly after, I realized that my left leg was also giving way, plunging me into a state of fragility and vulnerability like I had seldom experienced before. With a mind honed by years of training and experience, I quickly began to piece together the symptoms that my body was manifesting. An uncontrollable flow of saliva began to leak from the corner of my mouth, a sign I could not overlook. Using my right hand, which was still under my control, I wiped the corner of my lips and confirmed my suspicions. I was undoubtedly experiencing a cerebrovascular event, commonly known as a stroke. Interestingly, amidst this storm of emotions and sensations, a supernatural calm seized me. This serenity not only surprised me but also allowed me to think clearly about how I should proceed to seek help without causing alarm. I was aware that, in a hospital environment, news of a doctor suffering a stroke could generate panic and confusion. With a clarity that was previously unknown to me, I devised a plan to discreetly leave the premises. Holding my left wrist with my right hand, I managed to conceal the paralysis by tucking the affected hand into the pocket of my lab coat. As I stood up, I took small steps, compensating for the significant loss of strength in my left leg, which I estimated had reduced its capacity by 90%. My luck was that my desk was located near a staircase, which provided me with a strategic escape route, away from the concerned gazes of my colleagues. With cautious movements, and keeping my gaze fixed in the opposite direction of theirs, I began my journey towards the exit, each step calculated to avoid any suspicion about my condition. After covering approximately 50 to 60 meters, a distance that seemed endless given the circumstances, I reached the staircase that would take me to street level. Ascending each step posed a unique challenge, a test of resilience and determination. But, determined, I reached the emergency entrance, the place where we usually welcomed those in urgent need of medical care. Upon entering the main corridor of the emergency room, a peculiar and paradoxically comforting sensation enveloped me. It was as if I had shrunk to a tiny presence within my own head, observing the world through eyes like large windows. It became evident to me that I would need to manually guide my body, as the autopilot had failed. This experience, though frightening, brought forth a profound reflection on the fragility of human existence and the importance of resilience. The ability to face adversity with calm and determination, even when confronted with our own vulnerability, is a lesson I carry with me. As I navigated through this challenge, one truth became clear. Our strength lies not only in physical integrity but also in the serenity and clarity with which we face life's storms. At that moment, my obsession was to keep myself aligned with the central axis of the corridor. I focused all my strength on this task, but with every step I took, it was inevitable. I veered slightly to the left, repeatedly, until I found myself leaning against the wall. It was intriguing how, in that usually frenetic corridor of the emergency sector, where the constant hustle and bustle of people is typical, surprisingly no one passed by me during this solitary struggle. except for the moment when I reached the wall and saw a colleague from the cleaning team approaching. She knew me well, and anticipating the possibility of her noticing my condition, I turned my face, trying to conceal what I believed to be an obvious facial paralysis. She greeted me with a warm, "Good morning, doctor," but I, unable to articulate a verbal response, merely nodded, fearing to confirm my suspicions that my speech was compromised by significant dysarthria, a common condition after a stroke, where articulating words becomes as challenging as that of someone intoxicated. After this brief encounter, I moved forward and finally managed to reach the door of the first available medical office. Upon entering, I encountered a colleague, a renowned doctor with over 3 decades of experience. Just one look at him made him realize that something was very wrong. "What happened?" he asked, visibly concerned, leading me to a stretcher to sit down. It was at this moment that I heard my own voice for the first time since the beginning of the episode and confirmed what I feared. My speech was severely affected. My colleague, sensing my anxiety, tried to reassure me, even in the face of the nervousness overtaking him. He held me by the left arm, helped me up, and guided me to the area where the beds were located, about 25 meters away from the office. Upon arrival, he requested a bed for me, but upon hearing that all were occupied at that moment, he did not hesitate to insist, demonstrating unwavering determination. While we waited for a solution, he positioned me in front of an armchair, held my arms firmly, and instructed me to let myself fall gently, assuring me he would catch me. I then sat down in the armchair, waiting for a bed to become available. Seizing this moment of pause, with the phone in hand, thanks to the dexterity of my right arm, which miraculously had not been affected by the episode, I called my wife, who promptly answered. She immediately sensed something was wrong, given the short interval since our last conversation about an hour earlier. "What happened?" she inquired, with evident concern in her voice. With difficulty, I managed to inform her of my condition. "Stroke. I'm in the emergency room." And with those words, I pocketed the phone back, immersed in a whirlwind of emotions. At that decisive moment, I was blessed with the presence of 2 medical colleagues who joined the first one assisting me. The 3 of them, now gathered in front of me, began discussing my condition with palpable seriousness. The pioneer among them, pointing out details with his finger, explained my conditions, enumerating symptoms like facial paralysis and the discrepancy in the corners of my lips. It was in this context that a realization struck me deeply, the uncomfortable sensation that the gesture of pointing elicited in me, something I myself had inadvertently replicated on other occasions to illustrate clinical cases to colleagues. This insight led me to reflect on the importance of a more empathetic approach in medical communication, especially in moments of patient vulnerability. As they continued to deliberate on my condition, I decided to intervene, seeking to calm them with the assurance that somehow I would overcome that adverse situation. To my surprise, upon hearing my own voice, I realized that my speech was clear, without the signs of dysarthria I had feared earlier. However, something was amiss. Despite my attempt at communication, it seemed that my words were not being heard, as if I were speaking into empty space. I repeated my message, only to be confronted again with the unsettling reality that, despite the clarity of my voice, it did not reach my colleagues. It was at this moment that, propelled by the medical knowledge I carry, I questioned the reality of my physical existence. Turning slightly to the left, I was confronted with the sight of my own body, beside me, while I somehow found myself detached from it. The entity attempting to communicate with my colleagues was, lacking a better term, my soul. This led me to a deeper understanding of the separation between body and spirit, and the limitation of our physical perceptions. Aware that only through physical verbalization could I be heard, I endeavored to reintegrate myself into my body. This attempt, however, proved to be a challenge when, upon trying to speak, my body only produced an inarticulate sound, characteristic of what in medicine we call the smoker's puff sign, an indicator of severity in cases of stroke. Faced with this realization, my mind, or rather, my consciousness, once again drifted away from the physical body, plunging into a state of reflection on the immaterial nature of existence. In this state, it is not cognitive consciousness that predominates, but rather a deeper and more intuitive consciousness, capable of processing information with a speed and clarity that defies conventional understanding. With that acute perception, I confronted the possibility of facing a hemorrhagic stroke, which would put me before a limited time. However, instead of despair, I was enveloped by an indescribable peace, a serenity so profound that words fail to capture its essence. Despite this tranquility, a part of me resisted the idea of leaving, aware of the many tasks and objectives I still wished to accomplish, of the conferences to be held and the books to be written. In this dilemma between accepting a possible end and the desire to continue my journey, I experienced a moment of transcendental clarity. To my right side, I perceived the presence of a luminous being whose appearance and aura suggested deep wisdom and peace. This being communicated with me through a series of images representing significant moments of my life, showing me that, despite the seriousness of the challenges faced, nothing was more important than the experiences lived and the lessons learned. At the same time, a powerful energy emanated from behind me, reinforcing the feeling of being enveloped in a mantle of protection and understanding. This experience, though difficult to describe, reaffirmed my determination to fight for my health and well-being, recognizing the importance of every moment lived and the impact it could still generate in the world. When I felt that energy enveloping me, a voice emanated from that luminous entity, uttering only 2 words: "You decide." Upon hearing that simple phrase, a wave of absolute and unquestionable certainty hit me, revealing that the power of choice was entirely in my hands, and that any decision made at that moment would define my destiny. This revelation was a profound reminder of our true essence, that we are, above all, beings of light, immortal spirits temporarily inhabiting physical bodies, endowed with a forgotten power upon incarnating in this earthly plane. This forgetting of our divine origin often leads us to believe that existence is limited to mundane experiences and that the end of earthly life means the end of everything. However, through my out-of-body journey, I understood that death is not the end, but a transition to another dimension of existence. Confronted with the choice to stay or go, and armed with that unwavering certainty, I decided to affirm my desire to continue living, but not just anyhow. I demanded a return with full health. At this moment, my co-workers, noticing my determination, physically supported me, leading me to the bed that had just been made available a few meters away. As I approached the bed, 2 neurologists, already informed about my condition, joined us, displaying a professional urgency to begin the assessment. One of them, with assertive gestures, requested my immediate transfer to the bed to start the examinations. Facing the bed, a doubt occurred to me, a reflection of my peculiar condition between physical and spiritual consciousness. Should I undress for the examination or not? The interaction with my colleague, who reassured me about the recovery of my speech, was a moment of revelation. Realizing that my ability to move and speak had been restored, I proceeded to prepare for the examination on my own, undressing and lying down in bed, ready for evaluation. The neurologist, dedicating all her expertise and attention to the examination, concluded with surprise that there was no evidence that I had suffered a stroke just 20 minutes ago. Her exchanged glances with the other attending doctors reflected a mixture of disbelief and admiration. The doctor who initially attended to me spoke up, reiterating the symptoms that had been observed by all, confirming the seriousness of my initial condition. Given the facts presented, the neurologist expressed a dilemma. Based solely on my current state, she would advise me to go home, as it seemed like nothing had happened. However, the circumstances demanded further investigation, resulting in my admission for a series of comprehensive exams. During my hospital stay, I underwent a range of diagnostic procedures, from CT scans to MRI, seeking traces of the alleged vascular event. In the end, the results were unanimous. There was no physical evidence of the episode I had experienced. This conclusion only reinforced my conviction in the spiritual dimension of our existence and our ability to influence our physical state through the spirit. This transcendental experience served as a catalyst for my reflections on the duality between consciousness and awareness, soul and mind, themes that had already populated my thoughts and research for years. The unexpected journey out of my body not only provided me with living proof of the interconnection between the physical and the spiritual, but also reaffirmed my belief in the human ability to transcend material limitations, reminding us of our innate power, often forgotten as we embark on the adventure of earthly life. Reflecting on my near departure from this world, I feel immense gratitude to the universe. At that threshold between life and death, I had the honor of witnessing a being of light, a creature of pure energy and benevolence, whose presence to my right was as striking as the sensation of another presence, which, though not visible, was intensely felt behind me. This experience did not extend to the point of meeting deceased loved ones, as some report in similar experiences, but it brought a crystalline understanding of the distinction between consciousness and consciousness, revealing that while the body rests or ceases to exist, consciousness remains, inhabiting a plane that transcends matter. This understanding that we are essentially beings of light, spiritual, temporarily inhabiting physical cocoons, triggered in me a profound reflection on the true meaning of existence. During my years dedicated to exploring expanded states of consciousness, I observed that it is indeed possible to connect with the soul of someone who has already made the passage to the other side, confirming the continuity of life after death. The opportunity to work with parents who have faced the unimaginable pain of losing a child allowed me to glimpse the complexity of grief. They, by managing to establish contact with their children in the spiritual realm, confirmed the continued existence of these loved ones, although their physical absence remains like an open wound, a void that will never be filled in the material realm. This revealing experience also taught me about the reciprocity of feelings. I vividly remember when, still recovering in the hospital bed, my wife managed to approach, overflowing with tears and despair. The intensity of her pain not only hit me head-on, but established a cycle of shared emotion, where each wave of sadness I felt and reflected back to her amplified our mutual suffering. This made me understand at a deeper level the shared nature of grief and the importance of processing material loss, even when one is certain of the spiritual continuity of the loved one. Furthermore, the conversation with a father who, after years of pain, found peace, brought me a new perspective on grief and spiritual connection. He made me question how departed loved ones would prefer to see us, immersed in pain or seeking happiness. This reflection reinforced in me the belief that love and forgiveness are the true essences of life, teachings that we must remember and practice daily. It has become clear to me that we are essentially spiritual beings living a human experience, endowed with an unlimited capacity to love and forgive, abilities often forgotten in the face of life's adversities. And while the death of the physical body is an undeniable reality, it does not represent the end, but a transition to a new form of existence. This journey has taught me that true living means remembering and practicing our unconditional love and our capacity for forgiveness, not only towards others but primarily towards ourselves. It is in self-love and self-forgiveness that we find the key to unlocking the full potential of our spiritual essence. Therefore, I extend an invitation here for introspection. When was the last time you looked in the mirror and sincerely acknowledged love for yourself? May my sharing serve as inspiration for each of us to recognize and celebrate the magnificent inner light we possess, learning to live, to love, and above all, to forgive, as the true beings of light we are, in our earthly journey. So, what do you think of this incredible story? Leave your opinion in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Turn on the notification bell to be notified of each new video. Let's bring hope to more people that there is life beyond what the eyes can see.